Um, One of the things that's been on hold with the city is this Warm Springs specific plan that we started out to do and embarked upon. And I think it would behoove us as a city to look at a very, very conceptual land use to see what the options are around that area, around the BART station, within a half-mile of the BART station, and how this project fits into that overall context instead of looking at this in isolation. We've heard your concerns. Again, this is the beginning of a long, long process. You're going to get several opportunities to be listened to and for you to provide the input. This is going to be a collective process. This is not 5 people deciding what happens there arbitrarily and without the input from you, from all of you. The A's, as has been mentioned by my colleagues here, have been very, very responsive to community concerns. They have gone well beyond what is required of them to meet with groups, to meet with individuals, to listen to concerns and address them. So I think it's just for us to give them a chance to come back to us with what can be mitigated, what can't be mitigated, and look at the process as it unfolds. There is no reason at the end of this process that we can't walk away if it's not a win for Fremont, and they can't walk away if it's not a win for them. I think we all need to work together to make this a win-win for everybody. We need to take a look at the economic benefits. We all talk about our infrastructure being in shambles in the city. There's no way the infrastructure is going to improve without us infusing some amount of economic development. It has to happen both ways. We do need a cost-benefit analysis of the alternative location, look at the pros and the cons, and evaluate that as well. Again, we hear your hopes, we hear your concerns, we hear your fears, and I think all of those will be addressed as we move along, and I think it's imperative upon us to look at the alternative site in detail, come down from the 30-foot level and look at the detail, look at the traffic analysis, look at the issues of lighting and litter and noise and security and infrastructure and police and everything else that was mentioned, and look at the impacts to schools. I think we need to look at all of those in great detail, and I would recommend that the A's team look at this alternative site very, very, very seriously and come back to us with all the details so we could make an educated decision based on all the facts before us. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Murkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'd like to thank all the people who spoke before us today, the A's, all the people who are listening, and all the people who are keeping their thoughts to themselves and may submit the written comments on this notice of preparation. The purpose of an environmental impact report is to inform decision makers, as well as the general public, of the environmental impacts that are going to occur on the project. This, I think, and I would encourage the city and my colleagues to allow this notice of preparation to be completed so that we can have a full record of information that we can make on the decisions of the impact of or the impact that agencies have that will be affected with the Pacific Commons site. Okay, I think that record is important so that we have that as the analysis goes forward. I believe, as some of my colleagues have spoken here, that there's there are great benefits, potential benefits, and potential harms that have been discussed with relocating the project at the Warm Springs site. I think as a process for the city to undergo, that I would support the idea of having a second notice of preparation prepared on the Warm Springs site so we can have citizens and other regional agencies to comment on that. We can have the BART come back with some scrub numbers on the timing of San Jose extension, what type of use they're going to have, the Regional Water Control Board, Sierra Club, all the different groups that would comment on the disadvantages of having the ballpark located there. Additionally, it will allow staff to provide us with a I don't know if the whole 240 acres would be a TOD, but some sort of a framework that we would be looking at of what would be the transit-oriented development for land use changes and what that effect would have towards the positive or negative impacts it would have on the community and on traffic and lighting, etc. We need information. This is very helpful for me to hear from the public, also to hear on the proposal. I'm looking forward to the remarks that will be submitted by the regional agencies and the public on this process. I think in the overall scheme that it would be ideal for me to have the benefit of a complete analysis of the two sites, so that if I'm weighing the economic benefits and the impact to the community and the impact on the environment, that I have that data in front of me.
Thank you. Mr. Harrison?
Thank you. Just two more quick question comment, if you will, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. We started off talking about the Warm Springs specific plan and where that was at. It occurred to me, too, there's also that Warm Springs Station area plan. Is that?
We refer to it both ways.
Okay, so it's the same plan.
Right.
Okay, thank you. And then tagging on to what Mr. Wachowski said about having full information, I do think it is important, and I don't know if I direct it to the staff or to the applicant, though, that we do get an update of the economic impact report, I think, for that area, because it's at this point it's an apple and an orange, and I think that we need to, at least I want to go on the record saying I think that's important. Broccoli and cauliflower, maybe, if that makes you feel better. Exactly. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, just a few more comments from me. I think Pacific Commons is a good plan. It obviously has some obstacles, and I guess I'm not anxious to dump that plan without knowing that those obstacles can't be overcome. If they can't be overcome, I think it's a fair assumption to make that the alternate site is something to study. Interestingly, the alternate site is really not new. 6 years ago, the then owners of the A's commissioned a study to relocate, and the basic intent was to relocate in Oakland. However, the firm that did the study threw in another alternative and actually made it a preferred alternative, and that's the site that we're talking about tonight as the alternative site. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the best site, but it's certainly, in my mind, it is worth doing the studies and finding out, finding what the mitigation can be and should be, and making a determination on what will work. I think also that if we move to the alternative site, we should do a cost-benefit analysis. We have some data on the Pacific Commons site that gives us some notion of what we can expect there. So we would need to have some updated information in that sense. In any event, I'm very anxious to move forward. This has gone on and on and on, and I realize that it's nothing that can be done overnight. We've already learned that, but I think that we need to proceed. And if the direction ends up being to look at the alternate site, then we need to get to that point so we can keep moving in the process. Okay, did that give you enough to go on?
Yes, I believe what I'm hearing from the council is that we will pursue the preferred alternative to further talk about the obstacles and see if there are ways around those obstacles. We'll do a cost-benefit analysis and do more detail on the alternative site so you can have an informed decision in the future.
And aside from the land use issues, we'll talk to the A's about updating the economic feasibility study.
Yes. Okay, that concludes the study session.